Okay, I'm gonna tell you now a little bit of background what I have. My grandparents were living in a country called Inkeri, which one is not anymore there. It's been wiped out. And Inkeri used to be about 200 kilometers south from St. Petersburg. And because my grandparents were shopkeepers, and when the revolution started, Communist Party and people didn't like the people who were a little bit better off or whatever. My granddad and grandma got shot. They shot them, and my dad and dad's two sisters, they escaped to the forest. And they go all the way back to Finland, which one would be about 400-500 miles, 400-500 kilometers away. And then my dad met my mom there, and they married. And we had my oldest brother, actually had only one brother, sorry, was the first one, and then my sister and myself. I was youngest. I was born in 1939, one day after when the winter war between Russia and Finland started. One day after that, so I was born actually when the bombs were falling down everywhere, and I was born that particular time. And we were sent then, the whole family, in other part of Finland because Russia took over the area where we were living. And we stayed on that particular area about nearly a year. But then when the Second World War started, Finnish army took over the area which one Russia had taken before in the Winter War. And so we were allowed to go back to the area where we were living before. So we moved back to there, but that didn't last very long. My dad ended up dying, and then the Russian started taking over the Finland, an area where we were living again. And I remember my brother and sister and me were sitting down on a dark room and just listening to the bombs. I was very small that time. And then because mom couldn't keep up with anymore because my dad was gone and dead, my sister was sent up in a different part of the Finland, and my brother was sent to Sweden because Finland was thinking, just in case if the Russia take over to Finland, they were sending lots of children to Sweden or Denmark or whatever. So my brother was most of his life in Sweden, but he did come back to meet me later. But the area where I was sent with my mom was in a little farm in one part of the Finland. And that particular area, I might have been about 4 years old when I moved up to that area. And between 4 years my age till 6, the 2 years was the worst. I did not have a own bed even to sleep on. You will sleep wherever you can in that farm. So that particularly 2 years, I got no good memories at all. But then my mom remarried, and we moved out with where he was living. And then I had a beautiful young area then for my 7 years old all the way, because the man my mom married was a very, very nice man. And so I had a beautiful young wood, that from 7 years onwards. And I used to go on camping always, very often, and particularly summertime, we were camping on a forest and go on fishing trip. I had our own little boat going and fishing all the time. And in winter time, obviously, ice skating, and I play ice hockey like everybody in Finland plays. And that sort of thing, everything was very nice. But then on my mind, I thought when I was about 14, 15, I thought I want to see the world. So me and my mates start thinking about it. We are going to go to Canada. And just to get the Finnish passport to go in overseas like that, you need to do a national service, which one we both apply. Normally national service is done when you are 20 years old, but we apply early, which one you can do. And I was only 17 when I went to national service. And we were planning that after national service, we stay one more summer in Finland because the summertime is always beautiful. But when I come to back after army, the job where I was before, I was paid with the junior wage. And when I said to go back of the army, I said, now I've been in the army, now I want an adult wage. They didn't give it to me, so I said, well, you can have your job then. And then I seen it, reading of one magazine one day on a home, I seen an article about Australia, people going to Australia. So I said to my mom, I'm going to Mikkeli, that's the next town where there's a travel agency. And I went there, I went to travel agency, I said, I want to go to Australia. They said, no, it's not simple as that. If you're going to work there, you have to apply visas, you have to apply the permission to go there. So I said, all right, let's do the paperwork quick as we can. So we sent the letter, which went to the Copenhagen in Denmark, because that was the closest Australian embassy that time. I got the letter back a couple of weeks later and said they want to see me in Helsinki and do the interview and see if I'm good enough to go to Australia. So I went to Helsinki. I've some people, obviously they ask you, do you speak English? I have to say no, not a word, because I did not speak. Actually, I did 2 words, yes and no. But anyway, soon as I get that letter from Australian embassy that I'm allowed to go, I went to travel agency. I said, soon as you can get me a ticket, I'm going back to Australia. I'm going to Australia. And I was only 19 years old that time. Everybody said, oh, you're not gonna go. They didn't believe it, because me to go in other sides of the world, 19 years old, on my own, without anybody, not to speak in a one-word language. But I had made up my mind and I said, I am going. So I left. It was a February and the snow was everywhere, still a meter high on the home when I left. And first I went to with the boat from Finland to Stockholm. My brother, who was living in Sweden, picked me up from there. And I stayed 2 days with my brother's place, and then I got a train across to Europe to Rotterdam in Denmark, bigger Holland. That's where the ship was leaving. And when he left from there, it was the first stop was in England, where they pick up a lot of English people. That was in Southampton. And from Southampton, we going all the way to Suez Canal, actually both sides. That was, we stopped there in Egypt. And everything was unbelievable to me with the 19 years old and doing all that. And then we went through the Suez Canal, me thinking about 2,000 years ago. This one was, all the things were happening in the Bible and all that. It was just amazing to me. And on a boat, when we went up to the Indian Ocean, I seen some tropical islands there, and they look beautiful. We stopped in Colombo, which one is Sri Lanka. We stopped there for probably about 1 day. And from there, we went to Singapore. We stopped there 2 days in Singapore. And from Singapore, we went all the way to Melbourne. We landed in Melbourne, and that particular time, I must have been so excited. I can't remember on the back of my mind how it all happened when I landed up there. Only thing I remember, when we left from Melbourne with the train to go in Bonakilla, where immigration camp was, I seen this train was old-fashioned, and I thought, oh, what's this supposed to be a rich country? In Finland, they got a better train than that. It was just, to me, it was shocking. Anyway, we end up in the...
Before we continue, I just wanted to sort of speak more, could you maybe recall the full names of your grandparents?
Actually, I haven't got anything much at all from my grandparents because Russian, when they took over and they wiped the Inkeri, the country where they were living, they wiped all the publication, all the people's names, birth certificate and everything like that. We have been trying to get background from my fathers and back from my fathers, but we know very little about it.
Yeah.
Very, very little about it. You know, I got a few names from like from mom's side, and I got it somewhere, but on the offhand I just can't remember all. Said I did give it to. I saw it only, and I probably was gonna show you one day too.
Sure.
I can.
What was the full names of your parents?
Well, Simo was my dad's name, Simo, and my mum was Hilda.
Okay. Did you know how your father passed away?
Actually, my father passed away, what I was told, in the operation table. He was, I don't know, he was bleeding inside ulcers or something like that. He was working on a volunteer army that time, but he wasn't in the front line, but he was doing an army job anyway. But he did die in operation table.
Okay. And basically, I just wanted to know a little bit more about your time in the army.
Yeah, well, okay. And when I went to the army, I was volunteer obviously a little bit early. Soon as I went there, I was told with the hierarchy army, the lieutenant and a captain, they said to me right away, you will be staying longer than 8 months because normally 8 months is a natural service. But if they make you a sergeant or whatever, a little bit higher up, you have to do 12 months. And I hate the army that time, and I said I will not wanna be 12 months. So what happened, like I said earlier, it was February when I went to army, and we were doing all the army training, you know, shooting on a forest with the probably meter and 2 meters of snow there, crawling on there and lying down on the snow, probably sometimes nearly an hour, you know, like an army training. So I did get sick, and they were put me in a hospital. And then when they got me right, good, they put me back to the barracks to service there, you know, but not in the army. I was supposed to stay in 1 week in a barracks. So it was still winter. So I opened all the windows out. I put the cold water all over my body so I got my temperature back again and back to the hospital. And because that time, if I would have been there, they would have put me in a hierarchy, you know, to try to make me an officer. So I missed it because I made myself sick. And because when I got later, that same captain said, what are you doing? How come you get out of it, you know? And, but then I was working on a telephone exchange when I was in the army. And I was working all the communication type of thing, you know, in the army. That's my job. And they make me a corporal in the end anyway. Which one, I don't know why, but they reckon I was good enough to, they give me little ticket, you know, to call me a corporal, you know, so one stripe.
Nice. I guess, yeah, just going back to your time at the migrant camp and where you went from there.
Well, I was in an immigration camp. I was there only about a couple of weeks. And that's where some people stay there 6 months, 8 months even, you know. And that's where you're supposed to learn English, you know, and all that. And then they send you in a different jobs. But I was there only 2 weeks. And then I heard a couple of people said they know all about it. They're gonna go to North Queensland, and so we travel from immigration camp first to Sydney, to Brisbane, and we meet this guy in Brisbane who tell if you're gonna cut the sugarcane, you make sure you work full season and don't give it up because it's a very hard job. Don't spoil the Finnish people what they got it. They supposed to be a staff and not giving up what they start. So I promised myself I work for full season, which I did, and they make me, because I was youngest, 19, they make me a cook. It was 7-man gang, 7 bloke and including me, and I have to do all the cooking for those 7 men for that, whatever it was, about 6 months, 7 months. And when the season finished, I went to Townsville and took the plane to Brisbane. And that was then that first season I was working there on a Brisbane. But then, like I said, when I finished, when I went to Brisbane, I said to that job what I was doing, cane cutting, it was very, very hard job, so I will not go back there again. But then when I was in Brisbane, a couple of old fellows, they were about 30 years old, 10 years older than me. They wanted to go cane cutting and they knew I have been there. So they keep talking to me. They said they want me to go on and make the leader. They make me a leader and will go up there. And they talked me into it, going back to cane cutting. And a different thing then, I was a leader, you know. So I end up cutting in 4 different years in a cane cutting. And because I was getting better and better, I could learn to pick up the different blokes from different gangs. And I said, you come next year, come to me. And because all the farmers, if you got a good reputation, that you will go all the way the season and you don't leave halfway. So they knew they can rely on you. So you were getting better farms and all that and better money. So I was doing it quite good. And after 4 years, I left again there. In the meantime, I used to go in always different places. I was working in the Mariba and the tobacco picking because my mate owned a tobacco farm and he needed help. So I was working there, and then we working in South Australia in a timber cutting. And after the last year, I went to Sydney, and that was actually party time. Lasted probably about 5-6 months, and there was Sydney was those days, and still is. There was parties, nightclubs, and everything like that all the time. Sometimes I didn't even want to go out, and then somebody was knocking the door. Let's go, and so there was a lot of parties and money I have saved from before because the cane cutting was quite good money there, and I was saving the money to go on back to Europe because my plan was go back to the Europe and then probably go to Canada. And so I was working on a building in Sydney, but what I was earning there, I have to go and get money out my saving account and spend some more. So I got sick of it after a few months and decided that I'm going to Montisa. Because before everybody had been asking me to go there, there's a good money there, go there. But I always said, not in the Montisa, there's nothing there. And but I did fly all the way from Sydney to all the way inland way, where there's no roads whatsoever. I was lucky I survived that ride. And I went to Montisa and I got a job there. And mainly I got a job right away because I was a Finnish background, because first when I applied a job there, they said no more, they don't get any more working. But the next day, one of the foremen there went to see it and said they are Finnish background, so the Finns had a good good things going on there, so I got a job. And first I working in the service, and then I said to one of the engineers, I want to go underground, and I have to do the course first, induction course. I passed that. Then you have to go to underground, and you have to go to mining school, like learn to be a miner. And normally that one's lasts, sometimes you can go 6 months, 8 months to learn the tricks of mining. But I was lucky, I got out quite quick from there and right away in top money, earning top money. But then that didn't last very long because there was a big industrial strike in the Mount Isa, and they cut all the people who was working in a contract mining. So they stopped working that and put everybody who was contract miner before to basic wage. And me and my mate said, we're not going to work in a basic wage. And he said, let's go to coast. So I rang up to the coast, and they said, oh, we got a job for you anytime you come. So we left there. We took the design and left next day for coast. And meantime, what we had it early on before that happened, I was going out with the one girl. He was Finnish background, but we were just friends, really, you know. But then she make a blind date for me, and I said to her, I said, no, I don't want a blind date. I always get the girls if I want it myself. I don't need anybody get me a girl. And so I didn't go to the blind date. But what happened is that particular day, I was driving a car, and here's these girls were walking in the street, going in some shop to get the smoke or whatever it was. So I stopped to have a yarn with them, and then this my ex-girlfriend or friend said, that's the girl who you're supposed to go out with. I have a look Linda up and down, and he said, yeah, all right. Yeah, all right, we go to the party then. And that's for the first time we ever met. And obviously it's all back to history now. We've been married over 60 years now, so it's all history. We had, obviously, like everybody, ups and downs, but mostly it's good. And I think so we've been getting closer and closer now. When we get in old age, we're worrying about each other's problems and health and all that. So now we're very, very close at the moment now.
Did you want to talk about how many kids you have together?
Yes, okay. I had 3 boys, you know. Tony was the oldest one, and then was Dean, and Maddie was the youngest one. There was a 14 years gap between Maddie and Dean, and because Linda wanted for 3rd child after when we have the Dean, and I said, now 2 is a plenty, I don't want any more than 2. And but Linda was very, very much the one, particularly she was hoping to have a girl, and she even one day had a blind pregnancy. She even buy all the clothes, baby clothes and everything like that, and nothing happened. But then when it did happen, actually Tony was in the high school that time, I think so, and I was working that time in shift work. So Linda tell Tony that, will you tell Dad that I'm pregnant? So Mom didn't tell me, it was Tony who passed the message when I come from a night shift, you know. And so I was in the sleeping, and Mom was working that time when I was told that. And Mom come home at 4 o'clock afternoon when I was still on the bedroom sleeping. And when she walked in, she wasn't sure if I get cranky or whatever, because I didn't want to. And what I said to my Linda, what I said to Linda first, I said, come here, both of you, give me a cuddle. And she burst out crying, you know, because what I was obviously meant, baby and her. I said, come here, both of you. And so she was happy. And so that's how the Maddie was born. And then for grandparents, well, Tony, he had he got a son and a daughter. And they are very good. They were in Tony's first wife was from New Zealand, and Tony get married on New Zealand. We were there, and like I said, it was great, Tony, and when they having a two child, and Rara, he's our favorite son-in-law. I mean, in grandson. He's one of the things we like. This keep of calling us and see how we are keeping up and everything, which was really appreciated. And he's been good, and I'm very proud of him because he went through the schooling, and it wasn't very easy. He graduated in the law, which one was very, very, I was so proud for him, that time. And now he's ready to go, just about going in the overseas trip now. And then after when overseas trip, I don't know, I haven't talked to him too much about what's his plan later after coming back from there. What his job's gonna be, what's he's gonna be, is he gonna get married ever, or what is going on, because I don't know, I haven't really asked too much about it. I know myself, I was on his age, I was pretty wild boy, so I don't know, I think so he's very calm compared what I was in his age, so, but he's doing very, very well. And then Tony remarried, and he have the same thing again, Haley and and Jackson. So they all working now. Haley's doing good. He's done the same thing, studying, and he's doing well. All my grandchildren are doing very well. I'm happy with them. Only thing I had a problem with the Dean, very unfortunate. That Dean separated, had a divorce, and Dean had one girl, but there was a very bad thing happening in a divorce, like a marriage when it's break up come, and we haven't actually seen our granddaughter on that side at all, which one is very pity. And we've been hoping is that one day it might happen, but I don't know if it ever will happen. But like I said, all our grandchildren, most of it, they very, very good. I'm very proud with them all.
Is there anything that you wanted to finish up on before?
Well, like I said, just about that's more or less in the. Obviously, there was on my life, I've done a lot of things because we've been in about 11 times in the overseas for Europe and all that through in the last 60 years what we've been married. And we're planning to go one last trip now soon. Actually, it's been booked all already now, but we both going, like I'm 86 now, which one is, I can start feeling I'm not the good as what I've been before, I'm running out of puff and energy a little bit. And Granny Lindy, my wife, she had a fall, and but luckily nothing much happened, only a black eye. But still, it was very lucky that nothing else bad happened. So we both are getting older, but we still have everything going quite good, and we're quite happy in our age and what we are.
So you think you've lived a nice, beautiful life full of adventure and done everything that you wanted to do? Well, yes. I'm actually completely amazed on what my life, what I've seen. People I've seen,
and the jobs what I done, and things. It's just to me sometimes when I thinking about when I half asleep in the night time, I'm really amazed at the life of what I had. It's seen at so many different places and cities and countries and people and all that. It's just to me it's amazing. But of course there's always things you probably would like to see it, but you can't see everything in the world on a lifetime. The world is such a big place.
What's one piece of advice you can give me before I head overseas on my adventure?
Well, only advice, just be careful whatever you do. Just make sure. But that, like I said, I think you are pretty good because you don't drink, you don't smoke much at all, and I don't think so you ever smoked. So you are very sensible on that regards, on there. But long as you take care wherever you go, and particularly the area where you're going now, I'm a little bit concerned myself now. What I heard but 3-4 days ago, but that there's things happening in Cambodia and Thailand there. So don't go near that particular area unless you are sure exactly where you're going and what's happening. So don't put yourself in out of any position where you could get hurt or anything could happen to you. Just look after yourself because it's so important.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we finish up?
No, that's about all, and I just thank you for you because you've been helping us again when you come here with a few little job what we've been doing and all that. And sure. Like I mentioned you before, you are one of the grandchildren who is keeping a touch more or less. I think so. They all probably care a little bit, but when they were all young, we were all very, very close, but when the people grow up, they seem to be drift away or I don't know what it is, but I appreciate it because like your dad, Tony rings me up and looks after, he's good on that, and same, I don't know if you get it from Tony or not, but you do ring me up and more because every call, what we call, can hear, and if we got some sickness or something happen, and even if nothing happened, but every call is just is a good thing to hear, in all age. Because I used to call, like my mom. I used to visit my mom, like I mentioned before, 11 times, and then before mom died, I went to see her, just before she died. So it's any father and mother like their children to had a contact with them and worried about them, what they doing and how they behaving and everything. Every mother and father do the same thing. They worry about their children.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm really grateful to sit down and have this time with you and kind of document a little bit just for the records. And yeah, I love you very much. I'm really proud of you, and I think you've lived a beautiful life, and I'll always use you as inspiration when I'm on my travels to see what could happen. I guess, you never know. Moving to a different country, learning the language that you can't speak, and you've said we only have a small family here in Australia, and you're very proud and grateful to see where this family has gone. So it's exciting to see where it can go in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to film a little bit for our records, and we'll see how we go from there. But yeah, thank you very much.
No worries. I love you.
I love you too.